Imagine being 297 pounds, spraying for cockroaches at a fast food joint, and hating your reflection in the mirror so much you avoid eye contact with yourself altogether. Now imagine that same man transforming into a Navy SEAL, running 100-mile ultra-marathons, and becoming one of the world's fittest human beings. Sounds like fiction, right? That's exactly where David Goggins' story begins. In a life so full of pain, trauma, and self-loathing, it seems almost impossible he made it out. But not only did he survive it, he used it. He turned it into fuel. And in his book, Can't Hurt Me, he shows us exactly how he did it. Hello, I am Bharat, and welcome to Audiofybooks, where you will find excellent audio summaries of books in a very easy and interesting way. If you want to learn from new books, do subscribe to the channel. Let's get started with today's book. David wasn't born tough. In fact, he had every reason to give up. His early life was a brutal cocktail of abuse, poverty, and racism. His father was violent and abusive, not just physically, but emotionally. Young David lived in fear, and this fear, it became a constant passenger in his life. School didn't offer a safe haven either. He was one of the few black kids in his rural Indiana school, and every day was a fresh dose of isolation, bullying, and trauma. But here's where the story gets interesting, because this is not just a tale of struggle. It's a story of brutal honesty, self-transformation, and an ironclad mindset that most of us never dare to reach. You see, David reached a point where he realized no one was coming to save him. No magical motivation, no sudden life change, just him staring at a fat, unhappy man in the mirror, realizing that if he wanted a different life, he'd have to earn it. That's when he created what he calls the accountability mirror. Every night, he'd look into that mirror and write sticky notes, truths he didn't want to face, notes that said, "You're fat, you're lazy, you're not smart." Harsh? Maybe. But they forced him to take control. Because for David, growth started where excuses ended. He didn't start by running marathons or joining the military. He started by waking up at 4 a.m., running a mile, then puking halfway through it. He failed the ASVAB, the military entrance test, twice. But instead of quitting, he studied harder. He lost over 100 pounds in 3 months just to qualify for Navy SEAL training. That's not willpower, that's obsession. And that's exactly the point David makes throughout this book. Your mind quits before your body ever does. There's a concept Goggins shares called the 40% rule. He says that when your mind tells you you're done, when you're exhausted, fed up, ready to quit, you've only tapped into about 40% of your potential. The rest, that lives on the other side of suffering. The only way to access it is to go beyond comfort, to embrace pain voluntarily, and became an ultra-endurance athlete. But this book isn't just about physical feats. It's a masterclass in mental resilience. One of the most powerful tools David used was what he calls the cookie jar. No, not the sugary kind. This jar is metaphorical, a place where he stored every win, every hard-earned victory, every moment where he did the impossible. So when the going got tough, he'd reach into the cookie jar and remind himself, "I've been here before. I've done harder things. I've survived worse." It's a practice anyone can use. And make no mistake, David's journey is not linear. He fails, and fails hard. He faces injuries, depression, public failure. He even talks about failing to become a pararescueman before finally earning his SEAL trident. But he always comes back to this: suffering reveals your strength. Most people want the results, but don't want the pain that comes with earning them. Goggins flipped the script. He chased the pain. He welcomed the suffering, because he knew that's where greatness lived. One of the most unforgettable parts of the book is when he runs a 100-mile race on broken feet, peeing blood, vomiting, barely conscious, and still finishes, not because he wanted a medal, but because he made a commitment to himself. And that commitment, that was sacred. That's what Goggins means when he says, "Can't hurt me." Because when your mind belongs to you, when you decide to own your pain rather than avoid it, nothing can break you. Not people, not failure, not even your own fear. Now here's where it hits home. Most of us aren't trying to become Navy SEALs or ultra runners, but we all face our own version of Hell Week. Whether it's pushing through self-doubt, overcoming loss, or breaking free from a toxic environment, we all need that inner warrior to rise up. And that's why Can't Hurt Me is more than just a book. It's a blueprint for becoming the strongest version of yourself. Not physically, but mentally. It's about silencing the voice that says, I can't, and turning up the one that whispers, let's see how far I can go. If there's one thing you take away from David's story, let it be this. You are capable of 10 times more than you think. But that capability, it's buried under comfort. You've got to dig it out. You've got to suffer a little, sweat a lot, cry if you need to. But don't you dare quit. Because pain unlocks potential.